helping us put together a business plan to sort of understand the viability of making something like a community broadband project work for the Northeast Kingdom. There's been a huge amount of work going into that for the last 6 months, and about a month and a half ago, we voted on approval of the business plan. And so primarily what I want to talk to you about tonight is just give you a little bit of the update of what that means, what we think the approval of the business plan means, and then what we think our next steps are, and then answer any questions that you might have. So the high level summary is that we're very excited about the results of the business plan because we believe that they provide like solid evidence that there is like a realistic and financially responsible way to deliver universal service to the entire Northeast Kingdom. The business plan included both a financial model as well as sort of a lot of technical research that went into like poll surveys to sort of understand the scope of the work that would need to be done. The numbers are solid from like a community nonprofit perspective. They are not overwhelmingly attractive, which explains why we don't already have universal service. So while we think there is a realistic and conservative path to making this happen, the financial numbers are not attractive enough to really make it worthwhile for somebody who is a corporate provider, because there's not enough of a margin, there's not enough profit there. So the plan that we came up with in the business plan, it's divided into 4 phases. The thing to think about in terms of those 4 phases is that they are not necessarily sequential. So they sort of help us break up the different aspects of like where in the Northeast Kingdom we would be building. And there's a tremendous number of variables that go into those phases. But the first phase is going to be sort of a corridor of service down the center of the Northeast Kingdom. The rough timeline scope that we're talking about for the entire project is very hard to determine, but it is not short. So this isn't something that's going to happen overnight. And what we don't want to do is make the mistake that we feel like we've seen some of the other providers in this area doing, which is trying to oversell or promise things that aren't actually deliverable. So realistically speaking, we're looking at like at least a 6 to 10 year timeline to build out universal service to the entire Northeast Kingdom. We have an awful lot of funding that came through with the CARES funding, that the federal funding that came down. I don't know if you were following the H360, which got passed by the legislature, but we anticipate a pretty big chunk of change, which in a large part is thanks to all of you, like the towns that signed on and said, we want to try to look into making this happen, has allowed us to sort of apply the pressure. In terms of number of towns, we're the largest CUD in the state. And what that does is it gives us access to a larger pool of those state funds, which are going to be going to CUDs around the state. So we're currently anticipating somewhere on the order of $40 million in the first tranche of money, which does a lot to make this project viable. And we're pretty excited about that. There's some implications of that I could go into if it's helpful, but I'm gonna just wrap up and then answer some questions by giving a sense of the scope of the project. There's like, we're gonna be building something like 2,800 miles of fiber, and the total project cost for the entire Northeast Kingdom, we expect to come in somewhere around $130 million. What else can I tell you? I can tell you a little bit about Newport Town if that's helpful, but let me stop and ask, like, what is most interesting? Like, what would you all like to hear about, or do you have any questions?
Go ahead, Steve.
I have one question. If your state funding doesn't come through, are you going to be approaching the towns for funding?
No. So it is. So the short answer is, well, there's 2 parts to that. The first is like, I'm really pretty confident that this funding is coming through because it's already been approved. So it's a question, not a question of if, it's a question of like how much. So we don't know exactly how much funding is coming through, but I'm quite confident there's some level of funding coming through. Now, it is possible that something unexpected happens. I don't think it's likely, but if for some reason the funding came through and it forced us to reevaluate our business plan, it is not legal for us to to actually like appropriate, like we cannot leverage like taxes for our project. It's not legal. We can, and I don't think we would, because of the concern that you're expressing is universal. Like pretty much every town has expressed this concern. Like we don't want to be on the hook for anything, and because of that sensitivity, it is unlikely that we would even ask if people were interested in contributing. You can contribute if you want to, but you don't need to. And there's no plans for us to sort of be soliciting additional funds. The entire project will be paid for through the revenues that we generate from subscribers, right? Plus, of course, we're like the whole reason for the CUD structure that was developed in the state is so that we can go to the bond market and access relatively cheap money as a municipality. And so the entire project is funded that way, and any funds that we generate will need to be, the bank will need to be convinced, right, that if something went wrong, they would be able to, like the sale of the assets would allow the sort of default to allow them to recuperate their losses. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
You're very
Anyone else
welcome.
have any questions?
I have a question.
Barry, yeah, I was gonna get to you. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, generate revenue. Explain that. I'm thinking, I'm a businessman. You're gonna be making money somehow. It just doesn't work any other way. You can call it generate revenue and move on and say, don't worry, we're not going to hit up the people, but you're gonna be charging service fees, right?
Oh,
whatever.
of course, yes. So that's what I meant by subscriber fees, right? But they're elected.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I
So
know.
like if you decide that you want our service, then we charge a fee for it and you pay us. But there isn't any world in which we are like charging taxpayers who are not electing, who don't find our service attractive and elect not to use them. We're not.
Yeah, I understand, but I'm interested in the realistic stuff. So what do you project would be a monthly fee for the 100 megabytes per minute?
So this is a great question, and one that I'm not authorized to answer unless we're in executive session. Because the problem is that puts us at a competitive disadvantage with the other commercial providers that are already offering service and already have, frankly, a leg up in terms of their access to the community. So what I can tell you is that we are fully committed in a very real sense to affordability. It's like part of if you look at our mission statement and our priorities, which I'd be happy to share with you, those are a public document. Affordability is a big piece of what we care about. In fact, one of the things that we've been pressuring the legislature around is to make sure that is something that is being a pressure that is being applied at the state level, and not just something that like we're talking about as a community-based organization, but also something that the state is applying pressure to for sort of across the board services and access to internet services. Does that answer your question, Barry?
Not really. I go with dollars and cents, and you said you're not authorized to be able to talk about it. I know we're committed to making it as affordable as possible, but you can't give us, a ballpark figure. And is it going to be competitive with Xfinity and Comcast? Or, that's what that's the kind of answers that I look for. Not, I understand where you come from and read your statement of commitment and everything. But I like dollars and cents. You know what I mean? Is it going to, and you're not authorized to even discuss that. So, no, you didn't answer my question.
Okay.
I don't mean anything offensive, but I am a businessman, and I don't think like that.
I'm not offended. You should. Like at some point we're going to be able to. Like we're also committed to transparency, right? So I think we're doing everything that we can to put absolutely every card that we possibly can on the table without compromising our vision of how to bring universal service to the entire area. I think we do a better job of transparency, honestly, than most of the other providers already. Regardless, like at some point, of course, that information is going to be made public, and you should make a decision for yourself and for your constituents. Like, is this actually an attractive? Is this attractive or competitive rate? And if the answer is no, like, we'll go out of business. And there isn't any like net loss, right? I think from a community perspective, our vision is to do everything we can to bring universal service to the area. And that includes potentially scenarios where we don't exist anymore, maybe. I mean, like, it's not important to me personally that we are successful financially. It is important to me that we bring universal service to the entire Northeast Kingdom. If we do nothing but provide pressure on the incumbent providers to lower their costs and increase the number of residents that are being provided adequate service, I will personally walk away from this feeling great. That is my goal.
Can I give you my take on this?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm David. My take on this project is all the providers that are offering service in the immediate area stop when the density of housing is less than 4 houses per mile. There's a lot of roads out here that have fewer than 4 houses, and those are the people we're trying to serve. And it's not financially viable for a big consolidator or Fairpoint to handle those people. We have an opportunity now with the federal funding to actually expand this to live up to the governor's mandate for universal coverage that they've promised in the last 25 years. And again, this is a thing that is not going to cost the taxpayer money. This is something that everybody I know is very excited about. And we just want the select board to be as excited as we are and continue on this path. So anyways, I think it's good for everyone. And the cost will be determined later. And if you want it, you buy it. If you don't want it, stay with the provider that you have now.
But there are families like mine with 2 teachers, students, college students, sometimes having to come home. We do not have sufficient internet, and I work on it every day, teaching on Zoom, and it gets cut out. And right now, I have an outdoor teaching studio. But there's nothing I can do short of giving Comcast $30,000 to get service. And beyond my house on the Collinsville Road, people cannot get. How about EJ? Could EJ get to his schoolwork?
And he did. It was a struggle.
Yeah, it's horrible. It was like hard to upload a math lesson. There's no upload speed. It's less than 1. Yeah, and I pay for 7, but I get 5 downloads.
Okay.
If needed.
Anyone else have anything? Well, thank you, Nick.
You're very welcome. Listen, if you have any follow-up questions later, please don't hesitate to leverage your representatives. Like, the folks who are involved in this are super passionate about it. I personally volunteer 15 plus hours a week to try to make sure that this is as successful as it can be. And we have an amazing group of people who are really, really on board with this and want this to happen for the Northeast Kingdom. Please ask questions. Like, if you think of something next week and you want to talk about it, use your representatives. Like, if they don't know the answer, they can reach out to me or anybody else on the executive committee. And we are all about trying to provide as much transparency and support as we can for folks so that they understand what it is we're trying to do. I'd encourage you to support us with the legislature to continue this sort of so that we can. Our strength is our ability to stand up together as the entire Northeast Kingdom, right? We have 49 towns at this point signed on for this effort. And I cannot overstate the sort of the level at which we get heard when we can go to the legislature and say, there are 49 towns in the Northeast Kingdom that are really, really dissatisfied with the level of service that is available to them, and it is not acceptable. And people are listening. And so thank you for your support. Thank you for your participation and for joining the CD.
And we're hearing it here too. We are hearing it. So thank you very much.
Thanks so much. Have a good evening.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Sorry.
No,
it's good.
helpful.
Mr. Page, do you have anything?
No, I'll just add on that, this is the informational meeting to let you know that the North Kingdom plan is trying to do its work. It's not going to happen overnight.
No.
No.
Okay. Thank you very much.
5 to 10 years.
Road Commissioners report. Thank you again, Mike.
Steve, you had your hand up.
Oh, did you have something?
Well, I
Steve?
just wanted to say to Mr. Page that
Oh.
capitalism does work.
Okay, Mike.
Okay, our sand is up like 1,500 yards less than last year. We're miles in there. We put up 2,400 yards this year. We're trying to match last year's bottom. For salt vessel savings. We've done a bunch of work in the pit, trying to get creative sides that we can expand where we clearing the top, cutting trees, got a bunch of fires later this fall, so we try to save the fuel and grab it down before full. We did finish mowing everything the first time around.
Yeah.
Second time, we bush hogged everything, now we've mowed everything. Some of the roads are getting ready to be mowed again. 2 or 3, 4, 40 foot off. Right now, we've been cutting edges. We put up some gravel. We did all the Leadville Road and Lake Road right to the border. And we started for our road today. Looks like rain next week, so we'll probably be pushing the gravel for next week. Still waiting on culverts. And still waiting on excavating for our grant project conditions. That's all I really have.
The paving grant has been funded.
I put in a call to Norton this afternoon. I didn't hear back. But yeah, I know the rain slowed them up. Last I knew they were down on 14, and I'm here 2 weeks ago. So,
I can attest they're down on 14.
yeah.
So we did get final approval on the 2,000, on the extra 200,000.
Does anything need to be signed or anything need to be okayed or?
I'll make a motion.
Her, she does the paperwork.
Okay. Okay, and I'm asking to find out.
Yeah, you guys have to authorize either, or if you want that money, authorize either Mike or I.
Okay, I'll make a motion to appoint Mike and or Denise to sign the paperwork to put that grant in play.
I'll second it.
I agree. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any discussion?
No. Yeah. No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? None? So Mike, you or Denise can sign that paperwork so we can get her going.
What grant was that?
Anybody got any questions?
I do.
Okay, anything else, Mike?
That's all I have.
Equipment's okay?
I have a question.
Yeah,
if I
minor
could.
stuff.
Barry, you have a question?
Yes, what grant is this exactly?
This is for paving that we got from the state. It's called 2-for-1 money, as long as we can match what they got, and they gave us 200,000.
Yeah, we gotta provide 10%, 20%.
We only got to come up with 10%, and this is just for roads like the crossroad, matches from 105 to 100 to 105. We can use it on the Lake Road, we can use it on City Farm Road, and we can, the Lake Road, which we wanted to pave a section down on the other end of the Lake Road that was dirt.
What was
So
it?
we're
What was
gonna-
the name of it again? I don't know if I heard that.
It's
Maybe.
paving grant from the state of Vermont. The state calls it 2-for-1 money, and it comes out, we usually can qualify every 3 years. But they had an extra this year and we ended up getting some.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else?
Been busy. The equipment's been minor stuff here and there. Well, we put a little welding into the backhoe and serviced it, and new cutting edge, and a little welding on one truck body. I am gonna start bugging the salesman about getting a truck price, because they say it's gonna take a year. So that'll be next.
Comes to shoulders and places.
Yeah, did the whole Leadville Road and started on the Pryor Road.
Do you use a lot of that stuff like on some of your steep slopes to put it over, or?
I haven't. We did a little on the Lake Road earlier this summer because
somebody with an 18-wheeler got over on the shoulder and sunk it. How they didn't roll over, I don't know.
I know for the state, we used to use a lot of that, for those sharp drop-offs.
Yeah.
Make them tapered, they're easier to mow, easier to.
Yeah, I agree. I just
What do
haven't.
you think?
Oh, yeah, it's always an option, but I know some of the places we've done it in the past, we now have to go cut them because it builds up or whatever. It's always in the back of our mind to put it where we need it. That's for sure.
Lake Road Cemetery work. Do you have anything on that, Denise?
I do. We had put an ad in the paper. Mike actually went out with the cemetery commissioner and looked at the project. We got one bid from Danny Pepin. His bid is $15,650. He has signed this. Obviously, if you guys approve this, you have to authorize somebody to sign this. Everybody seemed happy. He drew up a plan. Mike looked at it, Chuck and Danny looked at it. They were very happy with what he came up with, a whole different idea. They were really happy with what he came up with. They think it's gonna work.
And these funds are coming out of,
Cemetery fund.
okay,
And they have plenty of money in there to do that with?
Yes, we got an anonymous donation a number of years ago on the Lakefield Cemetery,
Okay,
which we have not used yet.
good.
I make the motion to approve this work.
I'll second that.
All those, any discussion? None? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Okay, can you make a motion for either myself or Chuck and Danny or somebody to sign this?
I make the motion for Chuck Danny or Denise to sign that for that work.
Does it really have to be, seeing how there's money in the account to do that?
and we just authorized it.
Yeah,
One
we
of
just
us-
authorized it.
But
So,
one of us has to sign it or authorize someone to sign it.
okay.
Like Mike had to, we
Yeah.
have to sign the paving grant, has to.
Seems like it's doing
Yeah,
extra work
actually,
for nothing. you
yeah,
know. We
yeah.
approved it,
We approved it.
so it's in the minutes. We approved it, so. But, yeah.
I forgot
Yeah.
one.
All those in,
Yeah.
any discussion?
No?
Anyone else? Barry, you have anything?
What are we closing up now? This the last?
No.
No, not yet.
So,
Did you get the agenda?
anything on the last issue, right?
What's that?
What was, you wanted to know if I had anything to say on the
On
last?
this cemetery work.
Oh, no, I don't
Okay.
even know.
I have something.
I'll be there sooner. I'll be there sooner than later.
We have an engineering grant for our road box culvert that hopefully will be getting a construction grant next summer. And the plans, I left them here. I meant to show you guys. The way he set the box culvert in there, we need to get an easement from the property owners on each side, and the wing on each side is sticking over. It's going to be out of our right of way, so we have to get an easement, and it looks like they want some money possibly, which when the engineer is trying to figure out how to get it, if the state has a method of valuing the land versus having to pay an appraiser. So we
He's gonna
have,
get back to us too. Yeah,
Hmm?
he's gonna get back to us.
yeah, there's months before this paperwork has to be submitted, but I signed a permit, 3 different papers for 3 different permits with everybody. And still might have to get one with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Everybody's involved. But this easement, I didn't think would be a big deal, but it looks like it may be. Just so you know. I can show you the plans too, if Denise didn't hide them on me.
Thank you.
So it'd be okay that if you sign that.
Yes,
Okay. Zoning and lister position update or appointment. Do we have anybody?
I do. You need a mic?
No.
I've been working on a couple people to try and get them involved, and maybe next week we'll hear from them. I don't know.
I do have 2 people involved for the zoning administrator. One is Charles Elliott from the city of Newport, and another is Oscar Roberts. He's a lister here, and he said he would be willing to try that zoning position.
You said Charles Elliott from the city.
Yes,
He doesn't live in Newport Center?
For a zoning administrator, I don't think you have to.
It's an appointed position.
Yeah, no, I know Charles. I
Oh,
just,
you do?
yeah, just curious why he wanted to do something in Newport Center?
I don't know.
Newport Center? Yeah. He's been on city council in Newport, and
Yes,
works at Kinney Drugs.
I think he did their zoning for a
I
while.
believe he did,
Yeah.
No, he's a very intelligent man, no question about that.
yeah, and Oscar has been on the planning board, he's been on the zoning board, he's been on the water board in the past.
Mhm. Yeah.
And he is on the roads quite regular with listing.
Cameron Thompson just, Thompson.
Do you admit him?
Yeah, I just did.
Okay. Hi, Cameron. I don't know. What do you guys think? Should we appoint Oscar for the time being, and if he's willing to fill in?
Do we need one or two?
One.
One.
We need one.
We need a lister to, got anybody?
Is there a backlog on?
We're dead in the water with that, yes, we need a zoning administrator.
Anything? I'd make a motion that we temporarily appoint Oscar Roberts as the zoning administrator to get caught up on backlog of work.
Okay, I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, Oscar.
Willing to do it? Get him on board.
You guys know anybody who might want to be a lister?
No,
Need someone with a lot of computer skills. Okay, moving on. Set the tax rate for 2021.
okay, so we have, I've done like the preliminary, I don't know how you wanna do this. The home, obviously the school education tax rate is set by the state. So the homestead is 1.5127. The non-residential is 1.5202. And then based on the current grand list, I did this and then I had Avis double check me. The general fund would be 0.1076, appropriations 0.0912, and the roads 0.3130, for a residential tax rate for 2021 of 2.0245, non-residential of 2.0320.
2.1.
0320. And we've double checked this a number of times.
In last year's rate.
Last year's residential rate was 2.0405, non-res 2.0449.
Mhm.
So it went down a little bit this year.
Okay.
So you mean our taxes may go down?
Yeah,
That sounds good.
I'll make a motion that we approve the 2021 tax rate, and this is based on spending that took place in March, correct?
Yes.
Town meeting. And the general fund for the town is 0.1076. Appropriations is 0.0912. And the roads is 0.3130. For a residential rate of 2.0245 and a non-residential rate of 2.0320.
I'll second that.
Yep, I agree. Any discussion?
It went down.
It went down.
I think it's the first.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Tax rate is set. And it sounds like we may go down. Okay, sign orders, review and approve bank statements, journal entries, sign Armstrong, Miller, Longtime, Cemetery. We've been working on those. I think, has everybody seen them?
Yes, yeah.
Executive session, I don't think we need that. Unfinished or new business? Anybody have any unfinished or new business?
Yeah, I'd like to talk about something, that might help us. The audio is bad. It goes in and out, and half the time I can't hear. Someone's on the other side of the room. I didn't realize that you had that guard up there. That kills the sound. Sound you're gonna get through that too well. And I worked hard on this and did some studying, and there's an easy way out of this that you could cost you less than $100 to really get everyone to be heard, no problem. And what I did is I got a setup that had a pin jack, the kind of jack you plug in a computer, with 3 mics on it. It was like less than $100. You hang them up, like spaced out 4 or 5 feet in the middle of the room on a wire, and you just plug it into your computer. You have 1 mic inside your little box there, and the other 2 there, and it goes into the main computer, whichever one you're using, to get the whole thing, and it would be perfect. I did it with a cell phone and Wi-Fi. It worked out. I did some great videos. You could hear everybody in the room. So, I would urge you to maybe, you got a tech guy. It's possible. I mean, it would, the Zoom ain't going nowhere. It's here to stay. And if someone gets infected in that small room or something, no one's going to be coming anymore.
We're gonna look into it, Barry.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. I mean,
you
you got
got
to
the-
check.
We're definitely gonna look into it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the setup I bought online was, I think, about $60 with 3 mics, and all you did was plug it in to the computer, and everybody could be heard, even Steven, you know what I mean?
We'll look into it.
Yeah, okay, you do that.
Cameron, did you have anything tonight? Cameron? You don't have anything? Nobody else? Next thing is adjournment.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second
I'll
that.
second it. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Bye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone.